Hey, it's Tommy Gunn from Cracked Rabbit Gaming, and I'm going to show you how you can make a bunch of plorts and make a ton of money in Slime Rancher. And the best part is you can do this right from the beginning of the game in 5 or 10 minutes, which I'll talk about later. So this is essentially the setup here, which is that you want to create a whole bunch of Largo slimes, and you want their favorite food. So you want to get a whole bunch of the same type of slime. So in this case, I have 10 honey slimes and their favorite food, which are mint mangoes. And if you pull up the Slimepedia, you can see exactly what the favorite food of each slime is. So in this case, you can see phosphor slimes like Q-berries and rad slimes like Oka Oka. So I know that honey slimes like mangoes, and you can find both of those right at the beginning of the game, essentially through the moss blanket. And the last thing you need is either a plort or one other slime that you want to combine with the first one. So in this case, I have a hunter plort. Now you're going to want to buy a garden and plant whatever the favorite food is, and then you'll see I just throw these honey slimes into a corral and feed it the other plort. So now we've got a Largo that is a combination. And the best part is, normally the hunters like chickens or roostros as their favorite food, and those are a lot harder to get. So now that we've combined them, it makes it so much easier because I can feed them either favorite food. So in this case, I can feed them mangoes. And so then you'll see that as I feed them mangoes, they are creating both plorts of each kind, a hunter and a honey, and they're doing double because it's their favorite food. So that's why this is so efficient. And as they create them, the extra honey slimes are now eating those hunter plorts that have dropped, and they're turning into Largos. So now we're going to go to sleep, and if you're playing just the normal game, you can sleep as much as you want. So that way, now we have lots of mangoes from this tree that we planted, and you can just keep doing that. The other thing I recommend once you have enough money is to buy a silo and actually store some food there, because if you forget about the trees and eventually they will run out and you'll have to replant them, you might not have any left on the ground to replant. So the silos are good for just keeping some extras, so you don't have to go find them again in some area. So now here I am feeding all these Largos, and at any point you can just go find more honey slimes and throw them in there and they will turn into Largos. The only thing you should watch out for is make sure you don't have any extra plorts nearby that are gonna get into that cage, because if it does, they will turn into tars. So if you have a bunch right next to each other, you have to be kind of careful that they don't get really upset and start, getting out of the cage. Or if you have boom slimes, which you can also get in the moss blanket, you want to be kind of careful with those, because those will explode and they can send the plorts flying and maybe into the other cage or corral. Here you can see more of the Largos that I have. These are crystal and rad slimes combined, and I'm feeding them Oka Oka. There are some foods that you want to avoid. Like I said, meat is more difficult to get, and also things like odd onions don't harvest as well because only some of them turn into odd onions. So that's why you want to combine those with something, with some other slime that has a favorite food that's easy to get, like mangoes. If you are at the very beginning of the game and you don't have enough money for all this stuff yet, you don't actually even have to make corrals. You can just let them wander around as long as they're all the same type. Otherwise, like I said, they could turn into tars if you have multiple types dropping plorts. And so you just want to have a bunch of gardens and upgrade them as soon as you can, and then you can get the corrals that have, high walls and everything like that. The moss blanket has a lot of good slimes. They have boom slimes, hunter slimes, which are hard to find, but they are there, and the honey slimes, and also the mangoes. So that's why those are really good ones to start with. Here you can see I have honey slimes and the rock slimes combined. So you start out with whatever you want, and if you don't know how to get to the moss blanket and how to unlock that and all that, watch my 5-day rush achievement guide video, because the whole beginning of that is showing how to get to the moss blanket really quickly and find all that stuff. Later on, you will, as you get farther into the game, you will find better slimes that have plorts that are worth more money. So just right now, if you're at the beginning, you might want to try to diversify which largas you have, so you have a whole bunch of different types around, and that way you can sell whatever is most expensive on the plort market. And just a word about how that works. The plort market, you might think, is just sort of random which ones are supposed to be high and low each day, but it actually doesn't work that way. It's not totally random. It's based off of what you have sold recently. So what you want to do is actually sell, at the beginning, just kind of sell whatever you can. But later on, once you have more, you want to sell one type and then just sleep for, 5 days straight or something. And eventually the kind you want, the kind that you have a whole lot of, will go way up in price. And some of them can actually get up to 160 Newbucks, according to the Wikia, and you can check those yourself if you want to look. The market prices will stay where they are until the next day, so sell off all of your plorts when you find a good price, because as soon as you go to sleep, it'll drop way down. As far as I can tell, the slimes will never die if you stop feeding them, like if you sleep for too long. But they will get restless and they might escape their cages and stuff like that, so you kind of want to be careful about that. The crops will disappear after a couple days, which is why I recommend having those silos. And there you can see the achievement just unlocked, Upper Crust, and of course you can make way, way more money than this, which you will need to do if you want to buy all the upgrades and everything like that. So I hope that helps.